Now, as I mentioned earlier, George Harrison is my very special guest on tonight's show. He came over to my house last Thursday evening and we sat around, had a few beers and talked about rock and roll and some of the people that have influenced him and the Beatles in the earlier days. Well, knowing George as I do, I can tell you that his taste in music ranges from Indian classical through George Formby to Cab Calloway and Hoagie Carmichael. He seems to cover the whole spectrum and there's not a trace of musical snobbery about him. With all this going round in his head, I was really surprised how much he knew about rock and roll and how much he loves it. This is the first song he asked us to play, and why not?
The most obvious one, really, but it is the greatest record, one of the greatest records of all time, Jerry Lee Lewis, Whole Lot of Shaking Going On. I mean, hear that sound, that just the way the kick and the bass, and it just pounds, he pounds along.
Yeah.
Great drummer.
He's ahead of it all the time, the drummer.
Yeah, fantastic.
Well, I'm sitting here with my friend George Harrison, and he's come round here to tell me all about rock and roll.
Evening all.
So come on, George, what about it? When you first started, who did you like and what we're going to play?
It was one of the biggest things in my life for rock and roll was riding along on my bicycle, probably 57 or something like that. I was 14 or thereabouts, and I heard Heartbreak Hotel coming out of somebody's house on the radio, and it's just like, it was one of them things I'll never forget. It changed the course of my life, Joseph.
You was in a skiffle group till then, I suppose. Yes, you
probably,
were.
Yeah. But what a sound, what a record. That
stopped it for all of us, though,
it did. But we don't really have to play that record. We could play, like, No Cow Blues, because that's that period, and the Elvis we really loved, and the Scotty Moore solos we really loved with the naughty chords. Because I always got blamed for inventing the naughty chord, but really, they used it, and Scotty used it all the time. Check out the solo.
Milk Cow Blues, Elvis Presley. Who was, come on, you know all about it, the personnel on the record?
Scotty Moore, Bill Black.
The Blue Moon Boys. Right then, George. Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry, you know, how could you ever not be influenced by Chuck Berry being, you know, a teenager in the early 60s? You know, his guitar playing, everybody learned that, you know, everybody wanted to play like that.
There's nobody like him though, is there?
But
really?
Not many people have heard this very early B-side. I think it was just an instrumental track called Deep Feeling.
Is that where he plays slide, I think?
Yeah. It's like an open tune slide. It's good, great blues track.
I'll tell you what, you did a Coasters number once, Three Cool Cats.
Brilliant, yeah. We did a number of those, I think in the anthology, Paul told about how we travelled halfway over Liverpool because somebody had a copy of Searching, and I know that was the first record we ever heard of the Coasters, and everything they did was really good, at least what we heard. But the one I'd like to play, I know it's been used by everybody in everything forever, and even Benny Hill, I think, but Yakety Yak, such a great lyric, the story about the son and the father.
Yeah, you tell your hoodlum friend outside you ain't got time to take a ride.
But a great track, but the Yakety Sax being King Curtis, who we also toured with in the 60s, a wonderful musician, and, you know, he unfortunately died. He got stabbed, I believe, by somebody. Anyway, he was trying to sort out...
What were those guys like on the road? Were they much different to the English musicians? And
he just sat in the back of this aeroplane and played blackjack with Brian Epstein. Really, we hardly talked to him much on the tour, just, you know, hello King, how you doing, and all that. And he's on, you see him on the Shea Stadium film, he's right on there. But he was really cool, great sax sound, great player, and let's hear that one.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Rock and roll people may say it's not rock and roll, it's probably R&B. For me, it all blends in. Everything is just one big blend. This was a big influence on us, the sound of this, and this was an example of one of the things we found in Brian Epstein's record store. Richie Barrett doing Some of the Guy. We probably recorded it ourselves.
You did?
And there's a version, the very first film ever made, Granada TV, of us doing it in the cabin, and John's going, Some of the Guy now. Well, anyway, check out the electric piano sound as well. That was always a good noise.
So do you want us to play your version?
Or? No, don't play our version. It's horrible. Just play Richie Barrett's Some of the Guy.
Great track, that, George. True love.
You know, I just went to Carl's funeral about a year ago. Or it's about a year last January, I think, February maybe. And these people were all up there on stage, like singing, and it was in a big university in his hometown. But anyway, they said to me, do you want to go and do something? And they like kind of pushed me into it. So all I could think of was that song, Your True Love, because that was basically what we want to remember Carl for his love. And Jerry Lee, who plays the piano on that record, and you check that bit out at the end of the bridge, it's just great.
Yeah.
And he was a good job. I didn't see him until after the show, but, because it was kind of a bit embarrassing just being there just with one rhythm guitar, and all these famous country and western singers were all on stage, and not one of them knew the song.
That's ridiculous.
All like Carl's funeral. Anyway, I love that
great
track. I think we did that track when Carl did a live TV show. We did it in Limehouse on the TV, with Dave Edmunds and everybody. We did that track there.
You did it on stage too, didn't you?
I'm not sure. We did it. I'm not sure who sang it, who was Carl for the night. It could have been John who sang it, and Paul and I did the backups.
What should we play now? What was that one you said that you liked that I got Jeff to send over, the Honey Hush? That whole album, was important to us. John bought this. It was a little 10-inch album of Dorsey and Johnny Burnett, and they're important, because there's a track on there called Rockabilly something, and they were the ones who allegedly invented the name of Rockabilly because they each had a son, and one was called Rocky and the other one was called Billy. Is that right?
And I think one of them actually showed up a couple of years ago in a Fleetwood Mac.
Really?
After Lindsay left about 5 years ago, then they got, I think it was Rocky. Anyway, it's all part and part of the thing, and we used to do about 5 of these tracks, and I think Paul's actually done one on his new album.
Is he?
His rock and roll album, but we're going to play this one called Baby, 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 Blues is Sorrow. Yeah, I don't think they ever got known that much, not at least in England.
Yeah.
People knew about him because of Rockabilly and all that, and other people talking about him, but, that... When we discovered that album back in whenever 58 or something, it was a fluke how we found it. It wasn't like as if it was a big hit and everybody was carrying it around the street, with them. Brian Epstein had his dad owned this record store, Nems, in Liverpool, and it was Brian's policy when he took over as the manager of the shop to at least have one copy of everything that was ever released. So, we'd go in there after hours and we'd just go through all the racks and just checking them out. We found some weird songs like She's Got the Devil in Her Eyes.
What about Roy Orbison? We ought to play one of his, didn't we?
Of Roy's?
Yeah.
Well, we used to be behind the curtains and he would come in on to close the show and Roy would be right before us and he was so big. He just stood there. Everybody knows who've seen him and he doesn't move. Nothing, not a muscle of his face. He's even his mouth hardly moved.
Are you sure it was him singing?
It was him, because he came to my house and he did all them tracks, some of those vocals for his last album, the one about California Blue, and we did a couple of tracks there.
The one that Jeff
we did the vocals there, yeah.
Did you? I didn't know that.
And
that's a good song, that California Blue.
It's a beautiful song,
perhaps we should play that one.
Yeah, why not? I think it's me and Jeff and Tom Petty and Roy playing the rhythm guitars on it. It is. Oh, I'll tell you who I haven't done.
Yeah.
You know who we haven't done? Is Eddie Cochran.
Oh, we've got to have Eddie Cochran.
Eddie. Now, this is, we could talk all week about this, but I loved Eddie quite, apart from the fact that then later he came to England and I saw him on the Liverpool Empire and you were in his band playing with him. And
that's right.
You know more stories about Eddie than we'll ever know. There's one moment that will always represent Eddie to me, which was on the Liverpool Empire, the show I saw. Maybe he did it every night, I don't know, but it seemed like spontaneous at the time. But he just finished a tune and they'd stopped screaming and clapping and he stepped up to the mic and before he said something, he just kind of put both his hands back and pushed his hair back and some girl, single voice in the audience, she went, Eddie! And he said, hi, honey.